have some our old peeps from our ABB. We were expecting, I think, AK to come on. I'm not sure what's going on. We have another guy. We have Elmo. He should be here soon. I don't know. He was having issues with his mics, but he's been running. He's been running Discord on a what do you call it, on a Linux box. So this is the week of June 22nd. We had a big week in ufology. I promised you guys that I would start uploading on the iTunes channel. It's just not happening. Didn't have any time this last week, so I got to get like 20 episodes uploaded to the iTunes and open up our Spotify video account. And so you might be seeing these streams on Spotify. I will try to stay away from any motion as long as possible, but that might have to be in the cards because looks like Alamo might not get in. That might be in the cards. It does to run this show does cost a little bit of money, and I'm not going to beg for it. So I'd rather you guys be the product, and everybody gets to watch for free. So I'll try to keep it that way as much as possible. The Spotify does have a free version, and you can listen to iTunes for free. But oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've been running this show completely away from all the non-stuff. We had to walk away from a lot of it. Well, I tell you what, I'm still using the same tactics, and I've been doing a lot of the active in the ufology world, but it's a whole different ball of cards. Oh yeah, this is I'm talking about this for years. It's for me. Yeah. I boil it down to a few scenarios. One of them is kind of in the crackpot. One which is a leading cause, and I think every leader who's ever thought about this in realistic terms knows that if the average Joe Schmo is provided the tech to go off world, and essentially because of the tech and the way that these things work, if Bob Lazar is right about that, and we're dealing with actual antimatter matter Moscovium reactor that's generating its own gravity B wave, we're essentially talking about real cloaking technology and real force field stuff. But I think it would be more towards the latter of not exactly existing in three-dimensional space if you're bending space like that, and if you're existing in dimensional plane. And the other one, and people would have total disregard, and then the government would be SOL and be a loose federation of like countries or one government. It's like essentially the government would lose control if its citizens would be completely off world. Another fucked up situation, and this is the crackpot one. This is when I was high. I thought about this many years ago. This is a funny one. So like, oh no no no, this I have two of them. One of them's funny. So one of them is that the human race is actually a penal colony, and these are like our overlords, our captors, our guards, keeping us in. And the other one is more fucked up. And I thought about this when I was totally blasted that the aliens have us captive and there's some sort of fucked up pedophile and abducting us in the middle of the night for their own perverted thing. You know? Like, well, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, and there's another thing that's really weird because even Reagan kind of hit it on the nose when he gave that weird speech when I think we're supposed to have disclosure. Is that if we had a common off-world enemy, the whole world would unite. I'm saying the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You know, it's like or whatever the hell they say. So I don't know. Oh yeah, with COVID and all that. Yeah. Oh yeah, Lovid. Have you been traveling outside of the states in the past month or anything? Because, like, I know when I travel abroad, I get a real picture of they're force feeding us from the local. Have you traveled in the past 2 months? Yeah, because yeah, there's just like a bunch of stuff. Especially when I go to Central Asia, there's just a bunch of stuff like because I will get a lot of my news outlets coming from the Middle East, Iran, countries that you don't just normally do business with the U.S. And I get real I hate to say, a lot of people say their news is censored, but I get some real news. I might have to translate it a little bit harder or ask somebody to help me, but I do get like a different perspective on a lot of stuff. Yeah, no, not a blip. Oh yeah, when I was listening to schematics, is I am working like well, I mean I do have some engineer training, but I am now working back in the engineering world. Um, uh, yeah, I jumped out of the medical stuff about a year, 2 years ago, and so when the guy told me, I mean when I heard on the thing that they had a cabin that was designed with acoustic sensors to have for the hull strength. I mean, and the hull was made out of a carbon fiber titanium mix. And here I am thinking, all my friends in the Navy, like everything I've heard over the years, you don't make anything that goes that deep out of anything but metal. Yeah, 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 like who the fuck puts acoustic sensors to test the hull strength? There are other methods to test the strength of the hull. You don't need acoustic sensors, and if you need acoustic sensors to test the hull strength, then you're doing it wrong. You know? Did you see their ballast that they were using for the fucking for their fucking unconscious like Lendl? It's like on a what was it? They were attaching this thing to a fucking sled. And that was their thing. And their thing their thing was to yeah. Oh. Yeah, you don't know. Are you serious? They were using resins. Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, you just no. Oh yeah, the funny thing is his shoot, that guy's shoot tore in the launch phase and he didn't have a backup shoot. Is this the first time you've done it? Yes, with a person inside. Okay. Oh yeah, once you start getting up to a certain you once you start getting out of the especially in the upper I think correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a low Earth orbit where you're still in the magnetosphere, which does protect gives a layer of protection. But I know ISS is above that. I don't know. Oh god, I wish I paid more attention in class in science class. God damn it. Don't know where it ends, and the you're allowed to have orbit, but I do know you can have a low Earth orbit, but with certain things. But the problem is when you have low Earth orbits, they um they tend to degrade. Yeah, they degrade. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of degrading. Yeah. Yeah. So this has been a crazy last week. I did cover on the last show that the USAF, John Greenwald spotted John Reed. I love and hate John Greenwald, and he doesn't know me personally. I hate him because he's a hard ass. I love him because he does work thoroughly, and but he does have his bad sides. But I can't. It kind of balances out, you know. So what happened is he caught the USA in a blatant lie. I think last Wednesday, where their PR department has said in an open statement, an official statement, that the United States Air Force hasn't been investigating any craft, any UFOs or UAPs since Blue Book, and we know that's a lie through FOIAs and other things. Technically, they're not. Technically, through the word salad, they are correct, but legally, because there is funding going through the interagencies between private contractors or whatever the fuck they were doing at that time. Yes, okay, they did have they were involved, and then this week, today, the Liberation Times, after all of these bombshells were coming and dropping, and the propaganda machine was trying to silence out our voices. This happened today with the Titanic, or the sub blocked out the retaliation that the Department of Defense, Susan Go, and Arrow had made another official statement that they have no knowledge of SAPs or special access programs, and these are the same people that David Grush said is lying to us. He says Sean Kirkpatrick is lying to us, is lying. Basically, they're the people that they have hired to figure out this problem are lying to us. And David Grush had been in contact with one of them. Yeah, and that's true, but yeah, and did I tell you that there was during the Reagan administration, and this is public knowledge. This is not well known out of the UFO world, but there was an oopsie with one of these meteorological satellites many years ago. They had an outward facing infrared camera, not infrared camera, like an infrared sensor that would detect any object. And this was like something they had slapped onto another satellite. Uh, and it was supposed to detect objects coming from space into Earth, right? I think over the period of like 10 years, 10 or 5 years, this thing was going on. This thing had like 260 something events where an object was going in front of this sensor. And I'm just saying that you have a narrow angle of attack, even with this technology. So we're not, I highly doubt that we're dealing with meteors and shit like that. There's just, yeah, there's also some weird stuff, and I've heard this from the ham radio community for years. So there's been some yahoos that have been doing some directional antenna stuff. And I know with ham radio, you're bouncing off the ionosphere. I'm not too far into the ham community doing this, but I've heard this over the years, God, since the 90s, that there is a technique, and I've heard that there is some sort of relay that's been some non-Earth object that's been flown around the moon. And when people have directed their antennas, like a ham radio antenna towards the moon, like what they call it a fragmentation transmission or splash transmission, to essentially bounce the signal off the moon and get a scatter effect, so you can get more signal. Some of these people have been getting like really weird responses that they say this device has been telling them, and I think digital beeps or something, some sort of weird thing. I don't know how they came to the conclusion about that. That this thing has been relaying its name and where it's from. God, for fucking, I've heard about this story since the 90s, and a lot of it doesn't even make into the UFO community. It stays in the ham radio circles. I've been here. I've been here. I've been hearing that. I've heard. I've been hearing for years, since the Art Bell days, that there's a base on the moon. I kind of, for there was a time there that I really was just like, oh, that's fucking hocus pocus bullshit. But over the years, there's been more and more of that picture that's been uh, yeah. Vegas. Was that you talking about the Vegas one? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That was over Lake Mead, like the day of that the kids were. Yeah, there was like two events happening at the same time. Yeah, there was one crash in Lake Mead, and then there was one in Lake Michigan. Yeah, there was like, I think we're talking about like three different events. But yeah, your Lake Mead and the UFO event were like the same day. They were the same day. Yeah, it's times like this, like my hacker mind. I'm not like the best hacker. I would say I'm like I can keep up with a lot of with a little bit up from the skids. I do. No, I mean I you weren't. Oh yeah, not yeah, I'm not there, but I can sure well, dig my way through code and look on tools and see what they're doing it because I do have a degree in the field, but not cybersecurity. So I knew enough to be dangerous and above scriptity status, and I'm just telling you that there are ways there there is a way around it, but you would we would essentially have to create uh mesh an isolated mesh network, or we could even make our own closed peer-to-peer networks. But you start getting into problems with that, getting the shit out to people because it has to go back onto ClearNet where everybody and their mother are. So how? Yeah, it's too easy with it. Yeah, I've known about that. Oh God, for years now that the CIA is heavily tied into the media and entertainment industry, and it is by design for propaganda purposes and to drown out other shit and suppress information. That's the only reason that they're in bed with a lot of the popular places that we get to. Was that the one? Was that the one where like, yeah, it was like a Top Gun ripoff, and it was like it was it wasn't that the one where like they're like in a Tomcat. It's not a Tomcat. It was like an F-18. Yeah, F-16s. Yeah, I- this, it, this is this is the problem. We have allowed in this country placement of power on a rogue, shadow, unstoppable uh, military industrial complex that's completely running illegally outside of any oversight. And it is our presidents and our congressmen and senators' jobs to do the cojones and put the line in the sand. I did forget that before the statements of the Liberation Times that the DoD and the DoD and the Arrow had given their statements. There was a piece of legislation that did, I think it passed. It did pass in some closed session or something like that. I don't know. I really don't know everything about politics. That's not my cup of tea. But what I do know is that, oh God, I lost my train of thought. Oh, they said that they would tax SAPs extra for like so and so for something or other. And there was another thing where they wouldn't even give funding to special access programs unless they informed Congress about what they're spending the money on. And I have heard from a very good source, right? This is the missing deficit money that has been missing from the Pentagon's audits for the last 5 audits. This is where it's going. It's going to SAPs, and it's going to bribery money for guys in the field do it. That's actually standard practice. The CIA will bribe people with cash all the time to get intel. You know, that's normal. Yeah, I've heard stories.
It's the front.
That could
Front.
that's I've heard so many theories about that, and not one of them makes a hell of a lot of sense. The only thing. Oh no, I don't actually know that story. I actually don't.
Aurora, Texas. Is that what you're saying?
Are you
Yeah.
talking
Well,
about
that was
the?
yeah, it was like
Oh yeah,
1896.
that one.
Yeah, we're yeah. They so let's see. It hits some kind of cigar shaped craft hits a water tower, crashes. There's an alien body. I mean, this is like 50 years ahead of Roswell, and buried in the cemetery and so forth. But I mean, I've seen like follow up stories on that. You know, and everything's that's so long ago. It's like impossible to do much with it.
You guys ever heard of the
Yeah,
Nuremberg 1561 event when they were
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of
yeah,
there's like well, I put a link in the chat there. You know, they've had that one here out in West Texas, that Del Rio incident where the Air Force is flying over it, and you can see the crash site. I mean, so
yeah. These
crash sites
guys,
is one thing they go. You know, that's one thing where these crews show up out of nowhere and pick this stuff up. I mean,
which
on a global basis, they're doing this, and they get there so fast.
which means they have a monitoring system. Oh yeah, the Pleiades, right? Is no, it's not Pleiades. It's the Sirius. I think Sirius. No, not Sirius. It's like seven planets, but I think Sirius A or something is one of them in there. Oh, oh shit, Terrence! I just realized something, and I don't think anybody's ever thought of this. Uh, has the seven stars, right? The seven thing from the all of these races, but it goes back to Mesopotamia, and I am very familiar with Mesopotamian lore. There's a lot of occult writing that comes out of the Mesopotamia, describing and even on some of the carvings on the in Akkadian, or I forget what language we were using at the time, Sumerian, and there was the seven stars there 3,000 years before Christ. Same shit, same planet, same stars, same seven stars as the Indians, and yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Saturn has like support one of the planets, or is it Uranus, or has like rain. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh God.
until they can
Oh
control it.
God. Matt Gates and Tim Burchett. I just saw this scrolling. Was on Fox News and was saying they just said on Fox News today that they have confirmed. This guy's saying I'm not reading. I'm reading the tweet. It says Matt Gates, Tim Burchett have confirmed that there is evidence of UAP technology, and this is being hidden. Oh, okay. This is not new. Okay, this is an old. Sorry, guys. I thought it was new information. Yeah. You know what's funny is that my grandfather worked in the Pentagon. He was a lifer. He was in the Army for 21 years. He was a West Point grad. He was in the same graduating class as Buzz Aldrin, who I did meet in '94 because of my grandfather. We went to the ISS convention, the International Space Convention, when they were doing it in Colorado Springs, near U.S. United States Air Force Base. And but he told me one time when he was drunk, and there was stuff that later on got verified. This is 94 or 5, and he was talking to me about fucking rail guns. They were supposed these was a cheap way to knock out satellites. And I asked him, I was a young kid, and I asked him, pissed drunk, and I asked him like, "Hey, are aliens? Do we have any UFOs?" And he said yes. And I didn't expect him to answer. He just kind of kept on walking, and then I like thought about it like many years later. I'm like, was he telling the truth or was he just drunk? But he probably was telling the truth, you know. Oh yeah. Have you heard of the? Go ahead. Oh God, is it
White,
is it
orange,
white?
white.
Yeah, white, orange. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the military does. I've seen videos where they have they're able to lightning using lasers and plasma, and they're able to target whatever they want. No, yeah, yeah, Have you ever heard of Richard? Oh God, OSI officer Richard Doty. Are you familiar with the counterintelligence officer? He's kind of famous. He fucked around with a bunch of journalists on the behalf of the Department of Defense or U.S. No USAF. God, yeah, Richard Doty did leak some stuff, and everybody overlooked this. Did accidentally oopsie leak about something about a yellow book that one of the beings had actually had with them, and this thing is like similar to what we. This was 1994 5. Doty got on our bell and talked about a yellow book where it had a screen and star charts and everything, and basically what he was describing is a modern day iPhone with star charts. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no. Bob said these guys are only a couple hundred years ahead of us. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
Bob.
at the same time, their stuff isn't invincible because they seem to crash a lot. We run across these crashes of
That's something that Bob talked
multiple,
about.
multiple species or alien. It's not just like one type of humanoid either. So these guys are coming in and crashing for whatever reason, and so they're not invincible. I mean, their shit fucks up too.
Yeah, there was. I don't
But
know. Just yeah,
I suppose that's
yeah,
possible. Yeah.
yeah. What if? Yeah, if we're dealing with like scientists or archaeologists or anthropologists for the aliens, like or medical doctors or whatever the fuck they are. Yeah, I don't think they'd be expecting us to be shooting at them. Do now though. Oh yeah. Yeah, which is why have you heard Terrence, have you heard from the story from Danny Sheenan, the lawyer that's covering these whistleblowers? Did you hear that story from Danny that I'm not sure if you heard it because it was kind of buried too. So Danny Sheehan had told the Daily Mail UK that this is crazy, but it would make sense if Bob Lazar was right. So he said that there was found a craft. They were doing a crash retrieval, or they weren't doing a crash retrieval. This thing was abandoned and working apparently. In one of the soldiers had gone in to check go inside the ship, and he went inside, and he said that inside the ship was only as big as like a minivan, but when he was inside the ship was a football stadium. And they said that the gravitational distortion was so bad that the guy was getting dizzy up, and he was only in there. He said, I think they said for a couple of minutes, and it had been 4 hours when he came out. Oh God. Oh yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on. That's Have you ever heard of the aerial school landing? And I've heard this from several landings and crashes, is that when they try to observe the ship or the occupants, they appear as blurry or fuzzy, and this is something that you would observe. This is something that you would see if you were trying to view a an object, a fourth dimensional object, essentially in three-dimensional space, or something that is not technically in your three-dimensional space, and a gravitational distortion would probably cause these visual disturbances about why these things look fuzzy, or why, you know, because I heard when these things are in full on cruise mode, these things are completely invisible. Oh yeah, yeah. I've heard from God, it's like a documentary on Stern or something, and these were coming from some of the physicists that the Higgs boson particle is only a small part of like a large structure, And some physicists think that the full structure of what we call the subatomic particles for atoms are exist in multi-dimensional states. So that might be that crossover. Yeah, I actually shot that to a serious investor once, and he thought it was poppycock, and I just told I and God, this was many years ago. I just concept. I wasn't actually serious, but 2017, the Chinese actually tested this out, and we're having instantaneous communication, like live communication between satellite and the receiving station, and then quantum.gov, which is the Department of Energy, had entangled particles for photons for what do they call it? What's it called? It's basically using entangled particles to send data instantaneously. So as fast as the data can be read, can be somewhere else. Yeah, exactly. So that would be instantaneous. There'd be like no lag between the transfer from your computer to the next one. Nothing. It'd be just like you were working on another computer. I I actually think that the AI is already out of control. I don't want to put like a boogeyman thing out there, but I already I think it is. I think it's out of control. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm seeing profiles on the internet that don't make any sense. Is your timeline getting flooded with top 10 reasons that AI is good? And these don't seem like real people that are posting it. These seem like or make anime wives. That's like AI big thing now. Like it's fucking yeah. I'm serious. Terminator. Did I tell you I have
Oh,
did I tell you I have I have an OpenAI dev account and I got it because I'm able to do some of the coding, experimental coding part, and I I I went to wasn't interested in the coding part because it was subpar. It was definitely subpar. Was limited, but then I started comparing Chat GPT to OpenAI in a question, and I asked it some serious physics questions, and I don't know. And this was fucking almost 5 6 months ago. I asked it some like serious questions like about propulsion systems for anti-gravity, and it kept on spitting out the same shit as Bob Lazar was saying. And I was just like, is it because somebody asked the AI this, or is it the only way? Is the physics there? Like this thing, like this AI didn't just pop that shit out of nowhere, you know? Yeah, there's problems with the ion drive system too, because once you start getting, or it would take like what 22 years to get to close to sublight speed, and there's a problem there because by the time you've already accelerated that far, you're starting to deal with interstellar. We're finding this out with Voyager, but we're starting to deal with interstellar radiation beyond our heliosphere. So interstellar stuff is actually more chaotic than we thought it was. And having anything traveling at sublight speeds, you're risking damaging the equipment due to radiation. I always thought that the enigma riddle is the consciousness aspect. I don't know. When you start delving into this UFO stuff, like, it starts getting weird. Die Glock, yeah. And then Mussolini had one too. Yeah, USAF already knows that, and you've said this before, that the technology is going beyond where the human can even be in a propulsion based craft. Yeah, yeah, and then the turning radius. Yeah, these new scramjets they've been playing around with, and this was evidence when they were doing the F-17. What is the F-1? The fucking the spy one that they used, the one with the titanium fucking Pratt Whitney engine, whatever the thing was going, like the fastest plane that was ever made. I forget what the fuck it was called. The Blackbird. Yeah, the SR-71. And once you're traveling at that speed, God, did I hear this at the Smithsonian when I was there? Maybe. The turning radius is almost, once you're at max speed, is almost like the state of Arizona. You have to turn that slow. Or yeah, but you can't turn for shit, or you'll either pass out or
Within
break the
reason.
break the plane. Yeah. Did you hear the tip of the wings actually expand from tip to tip 2 inches?
Mm.
That's And I don't know. Never flown in anything besides some. Well, yeah, I've never flown it. Yeah. Doesn't? Oh
Well, yeah,
yeah,
it would,
this.
that would go back to some of these saucers. Maybe those things that are coming out of there are androids. They're not even life because they would be running into the same problems, right? They're not. There's no way you're going to run into the same physical problems with trying to put a person in a spacecraft doing these type of things as well. At some point.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Well, you seem to
I
have
don't.
multiple. It's just like Earth. You have multiple races, multiple humanoids. It's even different creatures. I mean, they're not even. It's not even a race thing. It's like multiple humanoid entities that are out there. So I would think they're not okay. There might be an overarching entity out there that might have some benevolent and be more uh, moved beyond. They're more of an entity rather than a being, in a human form or anything. But like these other ones, it seems like animals seem to, even if they progress, they keep that primal state. It's still in their genes, and so
What?
they should have some kind of combative, um, still within them. That sort of outlook on life.
I don't know. I mean, I've always theorized that the cattle mutilations and when they're I don't think they're like, I mean, I think that because they're eating weird parts of the animal, like, there are parts, like, there are cultures here in the U.S. and in the world that do eat weird parts of the animals, and I wonder if that's the only thing that's palatable to what they would do, because, like,
Hmm.
this goes on every year, and, like, there are ranchers that are that are losing some serious money. Yeah.
Well, you know what's odd about it's one of the few UFO phenomenon that the FBI has tracked going back, I think, in the late '60s or '70s. So you can talk Project Bluebeam, and they say, "Oh, it was a short period, or we're not doing that anymore." But that's one thing that has gotten tracked the whole time since it started.
Yeah. Even yeah, then we hired him as
you know,
hey guys, we got like 5 minutes or 4 minutes left. Uh, any other any person? Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't stream. I can't stream next week, but I can the following week. I just have some stuff that's coming up again, just because it's summer. But I will be streaming not the week after. You're more than welcome to come back. Exactly. I think I would.
yeah, it's going to be that kind of thing. It gives everybody a black eye for what these guys do at the top, the
Yeah.
psychopaths.
All right. All right, guys, I gotta end the show. I'll be back in like what week will it be? It'll be like the July, God, fucking July 6th, the day after Independence Day. Oh, you know what? I can't do it that week. I'd have to be the following week. We'll talk about next week in the chat then.
Huh?
Oh yeah, you want to close this
Oh,
out?
no, we don't do that. We haven't done the old PSA.
Yeah, we might as well.
Oh, I'm trying to think. What, don't. Oh man, I've actually forgotten to turn that up.
Yeah,
Politicians, or
yeah.
else lobbyists. That's Ray K.
And with that, all right, guys. See you later.
All right, we'll see you.